You're probably wondering after seeing that Charlie's Angels-esque splash screen on the beginning of this video, what on earth is this game that you're looking at today? Well, I'll tell you all about it, folks. And in case you didn't know, I'm DJ Sketch and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the lesser known, I suppose, PS1 shoot 'em up known as Mobile Light Force in the States, but also everywhere else it's known as Gunbird, the very, very interesting shoot 'em up series from Capcom, or at least they published it at some point. But a little bit about this. This was actually initially developed by Saikyo, released in the Japanese arcades in 1994, came out for the Japanese Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 in December of 1995. But strangely, the US didn't get this game until March of 2003. This actually kind of coincides with the release of Mobile Light Force 2, which was also released on the PS2 at the exact same time, which is also, just like this, a weird game with a different name. It was localized for the US, but then had most of the story stripped out of it. But we'll get into that in just a moment. So what is this game about? I honestly couldn't tell you. The story's gone. Everything, including the cutscenes, was completely removed, and only the gameplay is left, so you really have little to no context as to what you're doing in this game. But the good news is, it's awesome. It's Gunbird, so honestly, there's really no worry about this. Fans of games like Gigawing, Truxton, or the Ride and Trad series will honestly feel very at home with this, because this game it's wacky, yes. And I very rarely use the word wacky when describing a lot of games, especially shoot 'em ups. But this one, much like Parodius, it has that kind of humor to it, and it's actually pretty interesting. But also, aside from the looks and everything about it, I know it's Gunbird, but also at the same time, it is tough. This is one of those games, honestly, it starts out pretty simple. Like the first level, it kind of gets you used to everything, and also I really like this game because you can actually throttle your control back and actually slow everything down as opposed to being on auto scroll. This is one of the few shooters I know that does this, which honestly is pretty cool. But with this, you have a selection of 5 different characters, each with their own special ability. And honestly, they really didn't feel too much different, but I chose Marion for this particular playthrough. And also, let's jump back to how the story was ripped out of this. The even funnier thing about it is also the names of all the characters were changed, and also ended up being named by Excess Games employees, which were the North American publisher for this game. So the sound and also the soundtrack itself, the music is fucking awesome. That's honestly probably my favorite part of this game, aside from the gameplay itself, which again, it's pretty fast. It's honestly, again, starts out easy, about maybe level 3, I'd say like maybe about halfway through level 2, it actually starts to ramp up quite a bit, and it goes into nearly bullet hell-esque kind of territory, even though it's not like the craziest shoot 'em up I've played, but it gets pretty fucking hard after about the 2nd or 3rd level. But even on, I guess, like the normal setting, which is rate 5, this game will punish you. You can continue, but you have to go back to checkpoints. This is one of those games where you can't just respawn in right where you died, which is one of my only hang-ups about this game. That, and I guess with the story being completely missing, those are my only 2 hang-ups really. But aside from that, is this a game that you should play? Absolutely, especially if you have a PlayStation 1. Or if you have a PS3, which can also is backwards compatible with PS1. Pretty much all of them are. This one's usually, it's pretty cheap. Find it for like maybe at most probably complete like $30. But if you can get just the disc, I imagine you'll probably find it anywhere between like $5 to $10. I would think possibly even less. This one I highly recommend, because also, like, especially for it being what it is, like the cover will throw you off completely. This along with the sequel, Mobile Light Force 2. Because the covers, like the covers are literally identical, and at a glance, you probably see this and would not think it's a shoot 'em up game, especially not a good one. So again, if you see this out in the wild, or even if you like just want to get a wild hair and order it off of the internet, I highly recommend it. And if I had to give a number rating to this, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. I got to dock it for those few points just because like the US release has all the story and including the ending, it's all gone. So that kind of sucks. I mean, it'd be cool to have the context as to like why we're on this mission that we're on, but the gameplay is good enough, so I'm not going to really knock it too much for that. So again, if you found this helpful, good. And we'll see you on the next episode for January Shoot 'em Up month. I'll see you on the next one.